One framework is the resolution of the United States Federal Government to substantially reduce its effect on the weapons arsenal of peace, which involves the amendments which means to weigh down the also plan versus Clancy's point is policy making is good first argument is endorsement of progressive political reforms is key practice of an agency of a democratic society. Second argument is radical opposition fails and is co-opted. Eighth point is that the Black Panthers movement was seen as a threat to the states of the FBI covertly co-opted them and killed off the leaders. The beast point is also occupied Wall Street. They infiltrated occupied Cleveland and framed a bunch of people for crimes they didn't commit, that they put them in jail. Additionally, third argument is the role plan is good. Eighth point solves that it solves political apathy. Argument allows us to imagine how we can create action solutions to problems of the real world. Additionally, solves agency, allows us to imagine how we can be good citizens within a democratic society. Observation 2 is inheritance. The United States is determined to leave its 90 B-61 bombs in Sterling Air Base in southern Anatolia, Turkey. The first argument is TNW is not addressed by START or any other treaty. Second argument is if there is anything, the United States is going to increase its TNWs because their proposals to relocate from other European countries where TNWs are deployed in to Turkey because the other countries do not want them there. The plan text: the United States federal government will remove all of its B-61 bombs from the Republic of Turkey. Again, the United States federal government will remove all of its B-61 bombs from the Republic of Turkey. Solvency: the first argument is the U.S. Air Force has full ownership over TNWs in Europe and has previously withdrawn other nuclear weapons, for example, removed intermediate range and missiles. Second argument is TNWs were originally developed in order to fight a land war in Europe against the Soviets. However, the collapse of the USSR makes this no longer a strategic value. Third argument is that TNWs there is no security risk for withdrawing TNWs. Turkey will still be protected by nuclear guarantees of France, UK, and the United States. Fourth argument is that Turkey resents basing TNWs in their country. The public opinion polls indicate the vast majority of TNWs of Turks want the TNWs removed. Also, Turkish legislators complain all the time about hosting them because they want to promote non-proliferation in the region in question.
Yeah. Will you get rid of all these?
Every TNW that is in Turkey. Advantage 1 is Iran. A is the uniqueness that Iran is rapidly developing a rapidly enriching uranium in the status quo. United Nations, U.S. Security Intelligence proof this first argument is that in early March, Iran's nuclear chief announced that Iran has built more than 3,000 IR-2 centrifuges that replaces IR-1 centrifuges in order to speed up the production of enriched uranium by 3 times as fast. Second argument is Iran is also working on a separate heavy water reactor for the production of plutonium at Iraq. This third argument is according to IAEA, Iran has 367 pounds of 20% enriched uranium. In August 2012, that number was just 200, which means it's rapidly speeding up. Also, Iran needs just 530 to 550 pounds of 20% enriched uranium to build a nuclear weapon. Fourth argument is that we have only a small window to solve the problem. Last Thursday, Obama said that Iran is 1 year away from developing nuclear weapons. Also, TNWs lead to proliferation in Iran's status. But first argument is Iran. Security analysts argue all of the freaking time the deployment of TNWs on Turkish territory makes Turkey a nuclear weapon state. This serves justification for the proliferation require a deterrent. Second argument is Iran fears the TNWs are in Turkey directed at them, which some of them are, and this leads to proliferation because they have to provide a credible deterrent against insolvency. Removal of TNWs is key to Turkey's credibility. Middle East to check Iranian proliferation and immediate conflict. First argument is Turkey has supported the idea of regional nuclear weapons free zones since 1974, but because they host TNWs, Turkish officials do not consider them being a part of the nuclear weapons free zone. Second argument is removal since the signal that TNWs are no longer key to security strengthens non-proliferation efforts. Third argument is Turkey is key to mediating the conflict. They are a full-fledged regional player with Muslim identity, which means they can relate to all parties involved. Fourth argument is removal of TNWs removes the threat from Iran's source of an impetus for proliferation, provides credibility to the United States, non-proliferation efforts. Impact arguments not Iranian proliferation leads to Middle East proliferation. 2012, Saudi Arabia said they would buy ready-made nuclear warheads in order to immediately if Iran developed a nuclear weapon. Second argument is Pakistan agreed to supply these nuclear warheads to Saudi Arabia within a few days. They said the Saudis paid for 60% of Pakistan's nuclear program, and in return they have the option to buy 5 to 6 nuclear weapons instantly. Third argument is that Saudi Arabia has the capacity. In 1987, they bought 60 Chinese-made CSS-2 intermediate range ballistic missiles equipped that they can equip with nuclear warheads. Fourth argument is proliferation also draws into Israel, Asia because of security guarantees of origin, and this leads to preemptive nuclear strike in order to ensure survival. Ace point that means the genome makes it impossible to reproduce, which makes it cause extinction. B point is that also cause extinction because it takes a ton of black carbon into the atmosphere, blacks out the sun, which makes it impossible to grow any crops. Also causes rampant cancer. Advantage 2 is terrorism. A is the uniqueness that tactical nuclear weapons are massively vulnerable to theft and status quo. First argument TNWs are prime targets because they're small, portable, 1 or 2 people can carry and smuggle a single one. Second argument is 2008 Air Force Security Review discovered that the European bases that hold TNWs do not meet U.S. Defense Department security guidelines say, for instance, a large number of them are protected by just chain link fences. Third argument is that in order to maintain a war-ready posture, TNWs must be moved periodically. It is easy to steal them during transportation. Fourth argument is the terrorists like Al-Qaeda have tried to get them in 2006. Plans were discovered to attack the Incirlik base in Turkey by Al-Qaeda. Fifth argument is TNWs does not deter the terrorists because they are not state actors, which means there's no way to deter that attack solvency. We remove TNWs from Turkey, which means there's no risk of any sort of terrorist acts in the impact debate. Nuclear terrorism leads to extinction. ASO point is a single big step to 61 bomb has 340 kiloton yield, which means that it would destroy a city, instantly killing millions of people. BSO point is that that means that there would be only a couple of minutes for the state to determine whether or not they would be attacked by another state, which means that they would have to launch off a retaliatory strike, causes a nuclear war across by darkness. This is why that leads to extinction of Advantage 3. Advantage 3 is accidental use. A is unique is that in that tactical nuclear weapons are kept in heretic alert, which means that we're always on the brink of nuclear war. First argument is they have a lower leadership threshold than strategic nuclear weapons. They have the theater commanders have launch authority. Second argument is that the event if they perceived attack, theater commanders just have minutes to determine whether or not available information warrants a counterattack. Third argument is according to a former Minuteman launch officer Bruce Blair. Events happen every single day, which trigger assessment, including drills that it's supposed to yield a preliminary assessment in just 3 minutes after the sensory data has been acquired. Fourth argument is that human error leads to miscalculation, accident launch becomes highly probable. For example, bad information falsely indicates that attacks underway coupled with the extremely brief time frame to assess the situation could lead to accidental launch and solvency debate. The plan eliminates the risk of accidental launch because we get rid of the TNWs from Turkey to impact debate. The accidental launch triggers Russia's early warning launch alert systems, which means their nuclear weapons just shoot off automatically. They have a Cold War relic called the perimeter system, or people also consider known it as the dead hand system, which launches them automatically, which means that that causes full-scale nuclear war because they are already targeting the United States targets across by all the arguments here. That's why that causes treatment.
One off. Advantage 1, Advantage 2, Advantage 3. Then another off on bottom.
What was that?
Yeah, one off. Advantage is in order, and then another off on bottom.
Running my primer page.
First off, Israeli argument is that Israel has many security concerns with dominating their policymaking. Not only are they got a constant threat from missiles from Hezbollah, but also they severely fear Syrian instability. Not only because the Syrian government is extremely hostile, but because there is the Golan Heights region, which is on the border of Israel and Syria, which they constantly fear is going to be taken back. Second, because the U.S. and Israel have good military, have good relations, but they are tenuous. We have given them $8.4 billion in total aid. However, we failed to bring on a fourth artisan just gets Iran. In addition, we weren't able to stop the Palestinian state of overhead. The third argument is that the Israeli settlements in the West Bank. Oh yeah, Israel has proposed a new round of settlements within the West Bank. It's called the E1 settlement, and it wants to connect Malah Adumim with Greater Jerusalem, which will encircle the Palestinian region within that. And however, the United States President is keen to stopping that, since we are the only ones telling them not to do it. The fourth argument is that now is the absolute key. Netanyahu and Ehud Barak, since they're closely watching the United States to see how our new politicians such as Kerry and Hagel are going to react. The fifth argument is that Israel gives TNWs as unique the key to their security. The TNWs within Turkey as unique the key to their security. This is because Israel is primarily defended by TNWs within Turkey because it is one that is nearest to their country. We don't actually have TNWs within Israel, but the next argument is that TNWs are also viewed as a symbol of security because that is what we would use to fight our allies. Because we said multiple times that if we were ever to go to war with Iran, we would actually use TNW weapons and deploy them from Turkey. Link the links argument. So what is a good plan? Plan decreases. Plan gets rid of TNWs within Turkey. But the second argument is that plan is also a drastic change from the status quo because right now Chuck Hagel said he only wanted to get rid of the strategic nuclear weapons, but they weren't going to touch TNWs, which significant should die as to why policy change would be happening. The third argument is this is going to actualize all the political fears that the new politicians are going to move away from Israel internally. First argument is this is going to cause the radicalized to assert themselves and force the settlements because they're going to show that not only will they show the United United States plan is a bad idea. So they'll try to show that the United States plan idea. They'll try to react against the United States plan and show how bad of an idea it is to try and get them to renege on it. But additionally, the far right is only listening to Netanyahu right now because the Rangers spokesman Lieberman has been accused of corruption. But plus plan, they will blame Netanyahu for not being able to control the United States, which they will backlash. The third argument, the second links that this going to spark Palestinian retaliation. They said that if these settlements were allowed to continue, it would absolutely be the third intifada against Israel. Next page. The one argument was this called massive conflict and genocide because it would be Israel trying to encircle an entire Palestinian neighborhood and execute everyone inside of it. You're always going to practice genocide for a couple of reasons. First, this is the large-scale impact, which literally these people you use people as lesser, and if you act and if you do anything that could cause genocide or do not act when you can stop it, it is an immediate reason to reject all your plans because this is a more cyclical and structural impact. But then additionally, the second argument is this, and also the 2,000 people dying in the world where these two countries go to war, but it also caused the United States to get involved, which would likely turn back the entirety of cases in the world, which have to get involved within Israel. We'd always want to put the TWs back within Turkey, which would turn back all of sovereignty. But additionally, the United States getting involved would also mean that we wouldn't be able to solve for things like would also just mean that Iran would want to proliferate even faster if the United States had a greater military presence within the region. But you can classify all their arguments about my next argument is that Hezbollah would also get involved because they would come to the Palestinian support and deploy bioweapons and not kill thousands of people. But it would also likely cause Russia to go in as well. This would and an immediate war between Russia and the United States would turn back the entirety of relations advantage between crossfire, a war between nuclear countries with extinction. Iran does that. I'm sorry,
Advantage?
Yes, sorry, the advantage. My first argument is that the plan was, actually, Iran does that. The one argument is that you said that TWs lead to proliferation. This is not true. Iran started proliferating far before we had TWs with the Turkey. But the second argument is that Iran is never going to actually make weapons. They feel they will use it for domestic use. In fact, the Ayatollah said that weapons were actually antithetical to Islam, which means that all of your arguments are coming from Ahmadinejad, which doesn't matter. One, because he's probably going to get out of election, but two, because he doesn't have shit to do with the military. He is literally like the Sarah Palin of our politics, except for he actually has, he's the president, but he really doesn't do anything with the military except set the budget, which means that these are not arguments just linked to, but their arguments they would never actually launch nuclear weapons if they had them because they would know that the U.S. would retaliate and they would get absolutely destroyed. This means that there's literally no impact to your proliferation arguments because I think I would argue that any region in which a bunch of countries get nuclear weapons, the rational actor they would always be able to check back because all of these countries are in far too proximity to each other to ever shoot off a nuclear weapon. If one nuclear weapon one massive nuclear weapon were ever be deployed within the Middle East, the radiation and environmental impacts would spread to the rest of the region, which means that they would literally be causing their own extinction. Additionally, you said Pakistan is going to supply weapons to Saudi Arabia. This impact is entirely inevitable because Saudi Arabia wants a bigger bargaining chip against the United States, which means that them getting nuclear weapons is actually entirely inevitable and not contingent on TWs. Their TW's second advantage. They said the team Ws are susceptible to attacks. This argument is not true for a couple of reasons. One is that their only argument that they cite is that the EU bases are not good. You're not getting rid of nuclear. You're not getting rid of team Ws. You're not getting rid of team Ws in the EU, so you don't solve for this. But the second argument, which you cited, an attack that happened within 2006. Security has drastically increased since 2006. Security has also drastically increased for Turkey since we only keep our team Ws in Turkey within one Air Force base, which means that all of our security guarantees are there, which means that we are constantly monitoring it. It's not like the team Ws that we have in Turkey, where they are all over the place, which means that we can uniquely solve for team Ws within Turkey, and all impacts about team Ws elsewhere are inevitable because you will stop that. Next argument. Hair alert. Extended across that they only get rid of team Ws, but they only get rid of team Ws within Turkey, which means hair alert becomes entirely inevitable when we have team Ws everywhere else, and we can uniquely solve for Turkey. Next off. The one argument is that S201 is being considered in the Senate right now. It is a bill that prohibits the lease of aircraft tanks and other weapons to Egypt. The Senate Foreign Chairman Robert Mendes is heavily pushing for the bill. The two arguments is that the bill has strong support from the far right now. There are a lot of Republicans who are supporting it, such as McCain, Corker, Paul, Inhofe, and Rubio. But the third argument is that, however, Dems currently have enough moderate power in order to block the bill. He has led a massive Democratic opposition against the bill because he claims that the United States trade is key to regional stability. Additionally, Governor Tracks in open Congress state that the bill still has an average chance of passing. However, there are a lot of other moderates that are on the brink, such as Levin, Murkowski, Nelson, and Harkin, who also are currently unsure as to how they're going to vote. The fourth argument is that the US aid is absolutely key within the area. Not only is the United States the number one supporter of aid to Egypt, but we also give them aid contingent on the fact that they adhere to the treaty which ended the Yom Kippur War that lasted 30 years between Egypt and Israel. Thanks. One argument is the plan that is absolutely going to rally Republicans against Obama. It's not only going to be a major policy shift, but it's also going to be perceived as anti-Israel, which means that they will have to backlash because no Republican or moderate Democrat is going to be able to be perceived as anti-Israel. But additionally, the massive decrease in military support within the Middle East is also going to cause moderates to backlash, particularly because of the new North Korean security concerns internally. The one is that the backlash means that the bill is going to get passed. The bill is absolutely the only thing the Republicans have backlash is because the only other big thing on the docket right now is the defense appropriations bill in Congress, which is hugely popular among Republicans, which means they can't backlash against it. It'll be the only chance. The two arguments is that the backlash of the bill, well, the bill passing will cause the to retaliate, which means that they will renege on the treaty, the treaty that stopped the Yom Kippur War and cause Israel to militarize. Impacts. One argument is that Israel militarizing means all great impacts about proliferation and miscalculation entirely not unique, particularly in the Middle East. But the second argument is that Israel would absolutely preemptively strike Egypt. They did not preemptively strike Egypt when they did the Yom Kippur War, and that caused them to have massive casualties, which they would absolutely do this time. This means that Egypt would respond militarily, lacking the nuclear weapons, because that is the easiest way to knock out Israel. Since they have the smallest population, you can classify why nuclear weapons are bad, because it would cause extinction and it would turn back all of your impacts and it would turn back all of your impacts.
All right. We do the first is that then Iran, then terrorism, then arsenal use. Excuse me.
So the same way?
Yeah, take that. First thing you know, is not unique to the fact that Obama refused to talk to Ahmadinejad last fall, which means for the electric.
Not to Ahmadinejad, to Israel.
To Israel, to Netanyahu, due to the fact that he did not want to meet with him to look bad politically for his election. Probably would have seen this snub, probably would have triggered the links to your diss ad, because this is bigger to his credibility when you actually get snubbed by the president, like when he tries to meet you in New York City when you didn't actually do that. It's probably bigger, worse. Second, they say $4 billion in the United States aid means they'd probably not go against that, because the $4 billion in aid is key to their economy, also for their own defense. This means they would probably never go back against this next answer as they go for the West Bank summits. Unfortunately, Obama has met with Netanyahu many times, both in Israel and also in the United States, and they've never been able to stop them from from selling the West Bank beach. There's no propensity, uniqueness, complete or vulnerability to solve for this. Next answer is that you can never solve for this. Also, next answer is that Hagel is just going down for TNWs. He's strategic nuclear weapons. He's trying to get down to Project Nuclear Zero, which means he's trying to get down to no nuclear wars whatsoever. Which means that this probably only boosts Hagel's confidence in Israel. Probably is a link turn to the fact that this increased confidence in Hagel is trying to denuclearize. Also, next answer is that if they think the TNW is so important, there's probably no link to the fact that four other countries still have TNWs, probably enough to shield them and protect them. Probably don't feel like a threat. And the next answer is the next answer is we still have enough deterrence to check back for Israel. The first answer under this, that they dropped the fact that TNWs are a Cold War relic and not part of the United States military strategy, probably means that's nothing to do with our ability to decrease security. One of the first answers in this, but the Fifth Fleet checks back always, because the biggest military fleet inside the Middle East. Also, we also have nuclear ready submarines in the Black Sea. Probably also checks back for this. Also, we have the most amount of drones in the region, which also check back. That's the way war is going. They dropped the fact that we're not doing the old school core. We're trying to build up a standing military, which TNWs are made to go against. We have a new strategic form of fighting of deterrence, which means that we probably solve for all of your Israel impacts. Anything else, anyone?
Yeah, dude, you have so much time. Just keep saying. I don't know.
All right, keep going. Next is Turkey doesn't allow the United States Air Force to go in and use fighter bombs, which is necessary to fire off TNWs, which means that as it is now, we don't have any ability to launch them. Probably a good reason why Israel wouldn't care, because if you can't actually launch them, probably doesn't make any difference if you have them there or not. The next answer is that the United States military has also been. It's also due to the fact that the United States doesn't want to do this anymore, due to the fact that these are gravity bombs, which are also very bad for the environment, also destroys everything below them. They never use these because they're not tactical anymore. They're big stick bombs that blow up lots of stuff, which is the reason why we never use them anymore. Also, Yeah.
They don't have a brink for T&Ws in Turkey being like the freak out. We still have tons of other weapons. Like,
No brink
not
as
specific
T&Ws
to
in Turkey being for the freak out scenario of Israel due to the fact that we also have 24 United States military bases within the Middle East, also surrounding, mostly surrounding, in the Middle East means that we'd always check back to this. Which would never happen because we have a gigantic military presence. Also, like I said, drones will get there as well.
we also solve for like Iran prolif and terrorist risk, which means Israel's not freaked out about that.
Yeah, what?
We also solve for like Iran prolif and
We solve for Iran prolif and terrorist
Israel's
risk,
not
which means
freaking out.
Iran's not going to freak out.
Israel's not freaking
Yeah,
out.
Israel's not going to freak out because we stop Iranian prolif and also accidental launch and also nuclear terrorism. Probably reasons why they wouldn't freak out. These are 3 different reasons why it's never happened. Also they would never freak out also because they get $4 million in aid, which means they'd never freak out. They probably just comply and want to work with the United States. Iran. Our first answer to this is that we appease Iran better. The first answer is that, Ahmadinejad is not Sarah Palin because he never holds up a big oak when he talks on TV, but the better answer to this is that they never use serious energy policy due to the fact that in our uniqueness, we talk about there's already 360 pounds of uranium that's only 20% enriched, what is all is necessary for energy and also for medical technology, which means that they would already have all that they need. So, but then probably shouldn't drop the fact that he's building a new
Heavy water reactor.
A heavy water reactor to enrich uranium past 20% means that they're going for nuclear weapon bursts. Also, there's no reason why you would make 3,000 centrifuges that are IR2s, which is a new, better form for weaponry, which is probably the reason why you wouldn't be doing this. We're just winning on the appearance on this battle, which means that he is nuclearizing now. We're winning uniqueness. Also, the fact is the fact that T&Ws have nothing to do with has nothing to do with this. We're just winning the fact that T&Ws have everything to do with this. We're trying to get rid of the biggest threat to him, which is stationed within Iran, within Turkey, which means that we are just solving better for this. Yeah.
They say that they had T&Ws, they were proliferating before T&Ws. Wrong. They were in way in the early Cold War before they were.
Yeah, they were not proliferating before this. The fact that these were made way back in the Cold War, and I'm pretty sure it didn't take them 40 years to be able to figure out how to make a nuclear weapon, or else they probably never built ever. It means that they weren't proliferating right now. Next answer is that we get full access to our next link scenario. They say that this is
They say Saudi Arabia is going to get nukes inevitably.
They say Saudi Arabia gets nukes inevitably. This is not what we're talking about. The deal is based off specifically on how Iran is getting bombs, which means that if Iran doesn't get bombs, they're not nuclearizing. This is what they're saying. The second answer is saying that they're using this for a bargaining chip. Our answer is this is the bargaining chip. The bargaining chip is to get rid of T&Ws within Turkey. Next, terrorism.
Way faster.
The first answer on terrorism is that they say that there's only one base in Turkey, which means that they're all consolidated. They drop our chain link fence argument. Says that we said in 2008, DOG says that it is not good, it's not well protected, which means that Al Qaeda has already tried to get at this before, which means that these are high propensity for terrorism, which means that we are winning the uniqueness on this claim. Also, T&Ws is the only problem, which means that if we get rid of them, that there's a zero risk of a terrorist threat for T&Ws, which means that there's a risk of solving for this. Also, there's the conceded impact level, which means that we have conceded impacts.
They say we don't get rid of everything in Europe. It's not specific.
They say we don't get rid of anything in Europe, which doesn't matter because we're just doing Turkey only because Turkey sees Turkey as Al Qaeda see Turkey as the biggest threat, which means that they don't go with the other forces have different security protocols. We said this is Turkey specifically. On accidental launch, what do you have?
They say that we only get rid of Turkey T&Ws.
They say we don't get rid of Turkey T&Ws. We don't solve the promises that are things about Turkey. Anything else about T&Ws doesn't matter. It's around the fact that everything is Turkey specific to our advantage, which means non-responsive, which means that we solve proactive watch on politics.
I gotta tell you what this is. They say the bill's not going to pass now, and then our plan makes it pass. It's opposite. So we're going to like.
Okay.
That's what you want me to tell you.
They say that the bill's is going to pass now, and that we're going to make quick.
Okay, why does solving just getting rid of T&Ws in Turkey solve?
That is our uniqueness argument. That's our uniqueness claim because Turkey only has one place that is not well protected, which means that they're the biggest threat. Next on politics, for instance, here's me that this is not unique. The fact that
Others top of the docket. They would
others
just
top of the docket. First is
that.
the budget being passed. They get passed that first. Second is immigration politics, which means that these are shared between those before this bill for military in Egypt. So they vote for those first, which means that they would even have to get this on top of the docket. The next answer is that Hagel also McCain. Hagel and McCain are linked. Hold on.
Look, no link. Republicans would not see this against Israel. All of our other
no link. This isn't be seen against against Israel. This is seen actually being more pro-Israel. The fact that we're moving to a better protective military strategy. Probably shouldn't drop that the strategy has left from Cold War relics and moving to modern-day warfare, which means that we're going more towards drones, also aerial attacks, also we will always check back, which means that they would never see this as a decrease in military production. This actually seen as an increase of military strategy. We see it still not because it is not necessary.
No impact in Egypt is Mitchell militarizing now.
No impact in Egypt. The fact that Egypt.
Egypt is militarized
Egypt's
now.
militarizing now. Think about they never passed this bill. The fact that they do not trust in the Muslim Brotherhood means that they would never ever try to pass this bill because they wouldn't just start giving them more military things. Also, if they gave them the weapons, this probably.
Muslim Brotherhood should have caused an impact.
Yeah, Muslim Brotherhood would already caused this impact to the fact that the United States is very wary of Muslim Brotherhood. Means that they should probably already cause their impacts. Probably already happened. Which means that this whole just is not unique. Also, the fact that they never get their impacts. The fact that there's just too much on top of the argument. Look, overview. We are just winning because Turkey alone solves the case. And we're going to come in impacts.
Israel takes more politics.
That's actually better. No. This is better.
Alright, judges ready? Opponents? Cool. Not going for Israel dissent. You can send the number 5 argument that we still have TNWs in the region that deters Israel. This has a few implications. First of all, we're allowed to deter Israel from doing any sort of aggression. It probably means that Iran is still afraid that we have TNWs that are allowed to be successful in the region, which means that you don't actually solve for any sort of Iranian aggression if this is true. Secondly, you can send the number 7 argument that literally says that we can actually use these. We have to use a fighter jet in order to use these. Probably means that your advantage on accidental use is a complete lie because we don't just have a button that hair triggers these impacts. It means we have to put them on a plane and we have to fly them over. You make that empty argument. It probably means that you don't solve for advantage 2 as well. Next, all of their arguments are reasons why Israel will not freak out. Not reasons why Israel freak out if they were attacked, which means in a world in which Egypt still reneges on the treaty and they militarize the border is the reason why Israel would freak out. We have empirics on our side. I'll get to the dissent, but all of the reasons are why Israel would not start a war themselves, not defense to our other dissent. On Iran. First of all, you can crossify the argument that I made on the dissent that said that if Israel is deterred, it probably means Iran is still going to be trying to get these nuclear weapons. Next, they concede a number 3 argument that says that there's rational actor theory that Iran would never actually use these nuclear weapons if they were getting nuclear weapons as status quo because they realized that if they tried to use them in the region, which is the only way that they would be able to ever do it, probably means that they would never actually use it because the radiation would also kill them themselves, which means there is only a chance of war in a world in which Egypt starts one of the status quo. You don't really need defense into that impact, which probably means that we're going to be way ahead here. Next is the Pakistan and Saudi Arabia is completely inevitable. You just say this is not true. It's contingent on Iran getting the bomb, but this is ridiculous. First of all, our argument is Pakistan probably wants money, which means if Saudi Arabia is willing to buy these, then Pakistan is always going to be willing to sell it to them. Additionally, our argument is that Saudi Arabia wants an increased hedge in the region because they want to have a bargaining right with the United States on things like oil deal and how United States troops work in the region, which means that they would always have an impetus to get these status quo, which means even if you grant these arguments, their impact still happens because Saudi Arabia gets the nuclear weapons on terror. You can extend our B argument that says there really hasn't been attacks since 2006. They just try to say, oh, try our scenario, but if this actually hasn't happened since 2006, probably means there are absolutely zero risks in status quo. Additionally, our arguments are reasons why EU is specifically horrible, which means when you keep these TNWs in the area, that means they'll just move on to the other EU region, which means that there's still an impetus for terrorism post-plan. Additionally, you can see that this is literally only on one base where we have a huge-ass air force and a whole bunch of military there, which means that if there was actually a terrorist attack there, we would just be able to wipe them off. You can see that argument. It means that there's absolutely no risk of disadvantage. On to this accidental use. The only argument I really need is that what they made on the dissent that said that they can't actually have accidental launch. They need to have these planes in order to drop these B-16 bombs. You probably shouldn't have made that argument in the NG. It means that this advantage is literally a lie. On politics. Look, he just didn't get here with enough time. There are only some blippy defensive arguments that he doesn't actually understand that don't actually implicate our advantage, and we are just going to absolutely wax them on. Our story in the status quo is this bill is not going to get past death. Huge Republican supporters, but Democrats are not supporting in the status quo because they still feel as if Egypt is key in the status quo. Our argument is that when we reduce our military in the status quo, particularly in the region, then there is no justification for moderate Democrats to also increase military support for other countries in the region, which seems as if it's hypocritical, which means that moderate Democrats would always backlash. You don't answer this argument, which means if we win the uniqueness, we're always going to win. on the uniqueness. First of all, they say non-unique. There's things on the top of the budget. They mention immigration. First of all, this is absolutely lie. There's only like 2 immigration bills that are in the House that have huge, that don't have absolutely any support in the status quo, which means that that's not actually true. Additionally, this is a Senate bill, which means that if there's bills in the House, that doesn't necessarily implicate anything. Next, they try to say that there are like budget protocols. Probably can't renege on budget, decreasing, helping the budget in the status quo, because that would be political suicide. That is our number one, our number 2 argument in the our number 1 argument in the status quo that says there's also defense appropriations, which means that this is not the place that they backlash. Yeah.
Also, budget talks are going to take a long time, so they can
Yeah,
still
also
pass
budget talks are going to take a really long time. It takes a lot of concessions in the status, a lot of concessions on both sides, which means that they can always still pass other bills in the meantime. Additionally, the only other things at the top of the docket are whether or not we can use the White House for a memorial or whether or not we can use the White House for a soapbox derby. Those are not controversial at all. It's just whether or not we can do things on the White House ground, which means that this is the likely the bill that they will pass on. Next, we try to say no link because it's against Israel. First of all, we see Turkey as a check to Russia, a check to Russia in the status quo, which is the reason why we would still link to this. Additionally, they're conceding the argument that they would not be able to justify supporting another military while we're decreasing our own military in the region when it was not responded. So we don't have to go over these anti-Israel arguments. Additionally, the Republicans and moderate Democrats absolutely love the idea of Cold War, technology, which probably answers all of these arguments. Additionally, you try to say that you're increasing military strategy. I've already answered this. It actually politically seems as if we're decreasing our military strategy because we're propping up another country and instead of actually helping while we're decreasing ours in the status quo. Additionally, the MG literally just says it looks like we're having a more military strategy. It gives you absolutely no warrants not let the PMR try to blow anything up in the status quo.
Extend the North Korea link where it would look like...
Yeah. Also extend the North Korea link, regardless of what you think about this link, they conceded this, saying that it would look completely reversing the status quo of us trying to show off our nuclear power against North Korea. Meanwhile, we are decreasing our nuclear power in another region. Probably means that people still are forced to backlash. Next, the only other argument they have is a no impact because Egypt is militarizing now. First of all, this absolutely isn't true in the status quo. Our argument right now is that the reason why Egypt is not militarizing is because we use our aid packages as a contingency. It's like, hey, you are going to keep this treaty that happened after Yom Kippur War as long as we keep giving you all this military stuff. You don't answer this back. Additionally, all of our reasons why Israel freaks out and all the reasons why Israel attacks is in a world in which they renege on the treaty because they feel as if the last time they didn't have a treaty, Egypt just completely rolled their shit and caused a whole bunch of casualties, which means in a region when Egypt hasn't reneged on this, it probably means there's absolutely no freak out. However, in a world in which Egypt starts militarizing the border and all of a sudden reneges on the Yom Kippur Treaty, it probably means that Israel freaks out. Few reasons why Israel freaks out. All the reasons why Israel doesn't freak out on the DISAD are reasons why Israel just wouldn't all of a sudden willy-nilly go attack anybody. But our number 2 argument is pretty good that says that in the past they didn't actually use the nuclear option, and what happened was they had hundreds of thousands of casualties in the military, which means that they would never want to actually have this happen in the status quo, which means they would actually cause a preemptive strike on Egypt, or Egypt starts the war because Egypt feels as if there's no treaty in the status quo, which means they feel as if they have to go in, which means that all the reasons why Israel wouldn't freak out are true in a world in which Israel is in a war. Next, you can extend our number 3 argument that says that this completely turns the entirety of the case because, one, the United States would have to get involved, which means there would be great power wars in the region with multiple nuclear weapons going off, which leads to extinction. This is a faster impact because the second this bill doesn't get passed, it means that none of your arguments, the second the bill doesn't get passed, then Egypt reneges, and that starts an immediate war, which means we're always going to be outweighing you on these arguments, rather when we are winning smart, just true defense on their advantages, especially when the MG is running defense against their own advantages, which means this is a very clear-cut win for William Jewell. Anything else?
You can just do that.
Yeah, that's that.
Yeah, okay. It's going to be the Israel DISAD, the case in order, the politics DISAD on that.
Is there a hero there?
Oh.
Is there no video?
There will, yeah.
Okay.
There'll be a video. Okay. Is everybody ready? As an approved, we will be voting for the DISAD for a couple of reasons. The first argument is that there is not a single piece of offense on the dis side, so the high probability that the link scenario will be tripped is enough reason to prefer it. But additionally, the impact of the dis side implicates all the solvency of the advantage, because they are conceding that in a world in which Egypt starts to militarize their borders Egypt militarize their country while simultaneously reneging on a treaty that stopped war between them and Israel would absolutely cause Israel to freak out, which means that not only do we garner access to the most probable war, but they're also conceding that in a world in which two countries in the Middle East go to war, proliferation is inevitable, nuclear weapons getting shut off is inevitable, and great power wars are all inevitable. You have to vote on the impact that happens first for a couple of reasons. The first argument is that when an impact happens first, it is impossible to judge what the uniqueness will be on any of their advantage claims, which means that you always have to evaluate this first. Additionally, when it is the biggest impact in the round that implicates all others, it is simply too big not to evaluate first, which means that you have to evaluate this over any probability arguments on case. Israel dissent. The only two arguments I need are the ones that Stephen goes for, where he says that if we do have enough TNWs in the region to stop Israel from freaking out, that means we also have enough to keep Iran proliferating, which means they do not solve for Iranian prolif at all. Additionally, you can extend an argument where we say that they can't shoot off TNWs because you need massive fighter jets to bomb them. If you need massive fighter jets to shoot off TNWs and no terrorist group has those, that's probably the reason as to why their terrorism advantage simply isn't true. Go to Iran. The Iran advantage. I want you to extend across about how even if Iran gets nuclear weapons, they would never use them because they fear United States retaliation. This goes completely unchecked throughout the round, which means that there is literally no impact to Iran getting nuclear weapons other than Iran getting nuclear weapons. Their only other argument is this one about Saudi Arabia, but they have a similar argument where we said that it is inevitable for a couple of reasons. The first argument is that Pakistan will sell them because they want money, but also Saudi Arabia wants to sell them because they want to be a regional hegemon and have a bigger bargaining chip with the United States, which means that impact also seems to be not unique, but also inevitable in the world of the DIS Act. TNWs do not matter. You do not solve for all TNWs because you do not get rid of the ones in the ones in the EU. And your own evidence states that in 2008 the EU bases didn't meet the guidelines. Probably reason as to why Turkey is not uniquely key to solving anything. And additionally, I think that we're always just going to win, that the probability of this happening is extremely low when we have arguments in the status quo that say because all the nuclear weapons in Turkey are in one isolated area, there is a very high propensity that we can prevent them from ever being stolen or launched off versus all the other TNWs we have everywhere else, which means that TNWs will be solved for in a world of the status quo, and proliferation and nuclear terrorism elsewhere is entirely inevitable. On to the DIS Act. This is where we will win. I talked about this a lot in the overview, but they do not have a single offensive argument. Additionally, their arguments about how other bills will be voted on first is just simply not true. They are not engaged in the uniqueness level that says that the only bills on top of the docket are either non-controversial or our bill can be passed simultaneously with those. Not a reason to reject the link scenario. Then I want you to extend across, go to the link scenario specifically, because this is where they do not engage. First of all, they do not engage that this will be a massive decrease in the massive reversal of policy, particularly in light of the North Korean missile launch, which is the reason as to why Republicans and moderate Democrats would backlash. But additionally, this would also cause Republicans to backlash and gain enough moderate rally support because it will show a massive shift in policy, since you are conceding an argument that says that right now we only want to decrease our strategic nuclear weapons, not our tactical nuclear weapons, which means any reversal in policy is enough to coalesce all the Republicans and also any key moderates, any key moderate Democrats that are enough to pass the bill. I talked about the impact scenario a lot, but the gist of it is that our aid to Egypt is contingent upon them keeping a treaty that says that they will not attack Israel. When our aid is gone, that treaty is gone, they start to militarize, Egypt freaks out, Egypt first strikes them, which they concede. Immediate impact scenario changes everything else in the debate.
Politics? Or no, I'm so sorry. Israel. Advantage 1, advantage 2. Politics.
What do you guys have?
There will be a variety, like an overview on advantage 1, but it's not going to be in the beginning.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know. Just
That's fine. Just well. Go on now.
You say that the TWs are still going to deter Israel, which means that it's not solve Israel. We're going to win the argument that those TWs are not pointed at Iran, which means that these other TWs are not specific enough. Your conceded argument is why the only TWs that are specifically pointed at Iran and status quo are the ones that are in Turkey, which means that this argument is absolutely not responsive to our argument, even if we have TWs in other European countries that are pointed at Russia, which means that that is ultimately irrelevant. That means that Iran ultimately perceives those as being the things that are uniquely threatening to them. Also, you can see arguments as why they are absolutely not useful, which means that when the status quo TNWs have no use whatsoever. Additionally, you can see arguments as why other things check all sorts of conflict in the region, which means that we're going to win an offense on another piece of paper. Go to advantage one. They go for the argument that Iran is still going to be deterred by other nuclear weapons. Extend across the argument to the United States that that's not true because the only ones that are pointed at Iran are the ones that are in Turkey, which means that that's the only ones that it uniquely sees as key that is uniquely threatening. The second argument is European arguments that Iran has specifically isolated the TNWs in Turkey. Their security analysts have isolated those all the time. Also leadership, which means that it's Turkey that's key. You're also going to see arguments that Turkey is key to non-proliferation in the region because Turkey has cultural ties and is culturally sensitive in the region and is super involved in that. Also, they're trying to promote a nuclear weapons-free zone right now. You say Iran would never use nuclear weapons. Wrong. Our scenario is not about Iran using nuclear weapons. Sorry, guys. You can see arguments that it is Saudi Arabia that proliferates and shoots preemptive nuclear strikes, which means that you're just answering right. You also can see arguments that Israel and Egypt are proliferating in a war, which that's true, which is the fourth argument under the impact debate. That also means that your impact to the dissat is certainly not unique because both of those get drawn into the arms race, which means that the arms race becomes inevitable. You're also conceding the argument that Iran does want a nuclear weapon. You do not go for arguments. That's why they do not, which means they will get a nuclear weapon within a year. Additionally, you say that you make a couple arguments as to why Saudi Arabia is going to get nuclear weapons. The status quo. First, you say that the Pakistan wants money. First of all, nuclear weapons are not a ton of money, which means it's not key. Second argument is that this does not assume the deal that we talk about. They have a specific deal based on if Iran gets nuclear weapons. It's not if they just want to do it any freaking time, which means that there's no warrant as to why they would necessarily circumvent that deal. Our argument is more specific on that question. Additionally, you say Saudi Arabia wants regional hegemony. They do not think they need nuclear weapons right now. The status quo to accomplish that unless Iran gets nuclear weapons in order so they get some sort of check against them. Also, there's two reasons why affirmative outweighs your impact. One is the fastest time frame. They try to explicate why politics would suddenly erupt in some immediate Egypt proliferation of free time. Israel, Egypt, weapons are not just made overnight. They take a long freaking time. However, your conceit arguments that first of all, there's within a year Iran will have nuclear weapons.
Any argument that says that Egypt would have to make a bunch of weapons to go into a war and that would take a long time is new in DMR.
This is time frame analysis. It is impact calculus. I'm entitled to that. Challenge. These are what is the largest magnitude. Our war is between Iran, Israel, Saudi Arabia, and Egypt. You can see these arguments, and you can see that it results in extinction. There's no explication anywhere in the negative speech as to why there dissat results in that. You just say that Israel preemptively strikes Iran, which means our impact arguments are larger. Also, you should privilege extinction level impacts. First of all, arguments that if you do not do that, then that means that you privilege certain facets of life, which means that you ultimately demonize those individuals that are not taken to your calculus. You only privilege certain individuals. Impact extinction arguments taken into account, which all life has meaning. Additionally, you're conceding a bunch of arguments as to why this would be the case. Iran is super scared of them getting into nuclear weapon. Look, guys, here's the thing. They don't have a counter plan. They don't make a school assaults argument. We have a larger nuclear war impact on the app that subsumes their arguments because it has an Israel-Egypt proliferation scenario. This is going to happen in the status quo. They have not answered this argument, which means that maybe they also have a similar impact argument, but you should vote affirmative to possibly avoid a extinction scenario. There's no explication as to how we're going to avoid their extinction scenario whatsoever. What? Advantage 2. Now, they say that it has not happened since 2006, but they've targeted that. Your conceit argument is why Al-Qaeda is uniquely targeted the base in Syria. Like you just said, it's going to go to other European countries. There's no warrant to that argument. Al-Qaeda is uniquely targeting Turkey because, first of all, they have more of a presence in the region, and they see it as easier to target, which means that they would necessarily go there. And this could happen right now in status quo, which means that we also have time frame argument. They could get a nuclear weapon tomorrow, which means that also results in our extinction impacts. So send that here. Go to politics. First off, we're going to go for arguments as to why the trade-off happens in a different bill. First off, you say that there's no support for the bill, for the immigration bill. We will win the argument that first off, the immigration bill is Rubio's bill, which means that it is Republican, which means that Democrats would necessarily backlash against that. Additionally, that's on March 22nd, which means it's faster than your time frame. Also, the budget politics is March 27th. That's also faster time frame. No warrant for the argument. That's why theirs would happen faster. Also, additionally, there's no reason why affirmative necessarily causes. It takes a long time to build weapons. We solved the nuclear war scenario.